Greetings, Internet. Today we're going to start working on the electric guitars for the song Superficialstition by the band 86. Let's show you where we started and where we ended up. All right, so here we are on the song. Let me show you the guitars, how we ended up with them. All right, pretty simple. We've got three guitars going on. We have a guitar one, a guitar duplicate, which basically is he's playing the exact same part. We just split it hard left and hard right, and then we have a lead guitar. And we're running a little bit of processing on the bus for the whole thing. And let me show you where we started. So it's mostly just playing around with some clarity, adding a little bit of top end, and sort of just taming some of those low mids a little bit, and a few harshness frequencies we multi-banded out. Let's start with the rhythm guitar, and we'll clear these out. With the rhythm guitar, what we're going to do is we're going to get one of them sorted. We'll start with the left side, and then we'll actually just copy the plugins over to the right. So I'm going to turn this group off. I have them grouped because once you get your plugins sorted and your gain equaled out, once you get them into mix, they then are paired, and you can have the volume match. So if you adjust one, you're just adjusting your overall levels, and you don't have to do them individually. Anyway, we're going to turn that group off and mute the right channel and start here. We ended up using the SSL channel strip number 2, and basically just doing some dynamics control and a little bit of EQing. We'll start with the EQ. Let me get rid of that lead. All right. Let's bring up the high pass on here. This is cleaning out some of that low end mud we don't need. All right. After that, I'm going to do a bit of a boost. Actually, no, we'll stop there. We're going to clear out some mud in this low mid band. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a boost sweep. Find that a little bit. Too high there. I'll widen this out. Bring it down. Then same thing, we're going to do a bit of a boost. Do around 4K, add a little high mid back in there. And we're also going to do a boost. We'll keep that as a bell. A little top end. Now we're going to play with this compression. We're going to stick to about a 4:1 ratio. And we're just going to do a little bit of taming. We'll slow down this attack, or this release. So it just lets off a little bit slower. And just go into, we're tickling about 6 dB. All right, let me mute that real quick so you can sort of hear where we started and where we ended up. Here's without. This crispies it up a little bit. That's not really a professional term. I also want a little bit more top end, so I'm going to add a little RS127. I believe I had this at about 2.7K. That's pretty good. And then we're going to copy this over to the right channel. Now it's a little dry, so I added a little bit of reverb. That's this eVerb channel right down here. Spring reverb, did the mix all the way. So I like mixing in bus channels for my effects, so I don't have to just go through and dial in the mix percentage. When I want to make adjustments, I just turn my fader up and down, and that's about it. Those are fed via this electric verb send, just at 0, so it's going to follow the fader. And let's unmute that. Just adds a little bit of spring reverb. Okay, now we're going to move on to this lead electric. So what we're going to do is throw on the Softube Equalizers. There we go. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, throw a high pass on here. Then we're going to get through some of this mud. See this bump around 400 hertz? We're going to take that. Drag that down. And there's a lot of buildup around here, this 2K range. I'm going to find this. What we're going to do, I'm going to drop. Narrow that a bit. I'm going to even that out a little bit, and I'm actually going to add a little dynamics control as well. What we're going to do is just bring that. Now, that's obviously way too much. Equalize that curve. We're going to turn this on. Speed up that. Speed up the release. Turn this threshold back. So just when he goes nuts. I'm going to add a high shelf to add some air in here. Then I'm going to play around with one little effect as well. So a frequency right here on this electric guitar, I want to add a little bit of smoothness to it, about right there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do another dynamic, narrow that band a little bit. Do the same thing I was doing with the bass guitar, where when the notes are softer, it pushes it up a little bit, and then when it goes, higher, harder hitting notes, actually brings that average down to the 0 line. So it's basically at unity and not really doing anything when it's at volume. And do this by throwing a negative ratio on here. Speed that up. So it's just now it's not doing a lot. To me, it sounds like it's adding a little, I call it butteriness to it, but it's adding a little smoother sound to that mid-range right there. And now I'm going to just pop into my vintage effects real quick. Let's do a little bit of a low cut at about 100 hertz. Just clear out this section. That's really about all I'm doing there. All right, after that, I'm going to add some FET, so a little 1176 style action. I'm going to put this ratio a little higher. Basically, I'm just going to bury the needle about 5 to 7 dB of compression and just really tame those dynamics so I can just drop that right on top of the mix. I'm going to play this again real quick, bring this up, speed up this attack. A little too much. Bring up the output. Speed up that release. Just add a little bit of drive. And I'm going to add a little bit of tape saturation. There we go. Now with this as well, I did a secondary feed, leaving, I don't even know why I have that on pre, but I shouldn't have it on pre. Turn that off. And I'm running the Galaxy Tape Echoes by UA. That's just adding a little bit of just a little bit of delay on there. Add that with the reverb. And there we go. So for comparison, here's where we started. And here's where we ended up. Now let's get that into our mix. And I almost forgot about the bus. I'm not doing any compression on the bus. What I'm doing is with this, with these two guitars going on, you can sometimes end up with a little build up on that, 2.3, 2.5K area. And then I wanted to do a little bit of a cut as well around 500 hertz, a little bit of mud that builds up. So I'm going to mute these bands, and we'll start with this 2.5K. And solo that again. That's a spot. Narrow this. Drop it down to -6. I'm not going to go all the way down to -6, so the range on the F6 is just the most amount that it's going to pull out of those frequencies. Speed this up to about 3 milliseconds and bring that up to about 80. Nice fast release. And hit play. Just taming that 3K, that can be a bit bitey, and then the same thing we'll do. You actually see just a lot going on right here. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to do a little less, but I'm going to have it on more of the time. We'll speed this up. Do the same attack and release here. Just to add a little cohesion, drop a few frequencies that are building up, and then I added a little bit of tape saturation on there as well. All right, let's bring this into our mix. I'll actually start with this bus at 0. I just pulled it down into the mix once I got mixing with everything else, but since we're starting from scratch, let's do that. All right, hit play. I'm going to bring in the rhythm guitar first. And now the lead. Start over. Wiggle this down a hair. All right, as you can see, pretty well mixed in. Obviously in the final, I did a little more finagling, got it really well balanced. This is sort of a working file. I'm just showing you what we're up to. And as you can see, my faders, there's nothing really pushing here. If you guys saw the video where I was talking about pushing or mixing in instruments, and I started with the drums, aside from my bus files, my folder routing files, as you can see here, those are the only things at 0 at Unity. And everything else I actually start a little bit softer. Reason being, I like having plenty of room in my mix to push things. So now it's like, say I really want a guitar solo, and I want that guitar to be slamming. I got all the room in the world to push that guitar. And then I'll just worry about, getting up to volume when I get to master phase. Right now I'm just focusing on my mix and making my mix sound good. Anyway, hope you liked it. Feel free to like and share, and just get a hold of me if you need anything mixed or mastered. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week.